Cold cases can sometimes be really hard to solve. Some investigators would often give up in some cases, which leads to them being unsolved for many years. However, when those unsolved mysteries came to light, it became something groundbreaking, which definitely deserved every spotlight and our attention. So in this video, I'll show you the top 7 famous cold cases that have finally been solved. Starting with number 7, we have Lady in the Dunes. For nearly 5 decades, the case of the Lady in the Dunes had been daunting the city of Provincetown in Massachusetts. In 1974, beachgoers discovered a woman's body which was partially buried in the Race Point Dunes. Decapitated and with no identification, the woman became known simply as the Lady in the Dunes. For years, investigators chased dead ends. There's zero potential evidence due to the harsh elements, and forensic techniques at the time were limited, so the case went cold, leaving the victim and her killer anonymous. However, decades later, a twist was revealed. In 2018, a renewed push for answers used advanced DNA analysis. With the help of genetic genealogy, authorities were finally able to identify the victim as Ruth Mary Terry, a 37-year-old woman from Tennessee. The investigation turned its focus towards Terry's life and uncovered a possible lead, her estranged husband. Through further investigation, it was discovered that Terry's husband, Guy Rockwell Moldovan, had been abusive and controlling throughout their relationship. He was also known to frequently go to Provincetown around the time of Terry's murder. Even though Moldovan actually died in 2002, investigators were able to use DNA from a relative to confirm a match with crime scene evidence. In 2019, after 45 years, the case of the Lady in the Dunes was finally closed. It's unfortunate that justice couldn't be served in a traditional sense, but identifying Terry and her killer brought long-awaited closure to her family and the community of Provincetown. At number 6, we have the Golden State Killer, who terrorized California for over a decade. He committed at least 12 murders, over 50 rapes, and countless robberies. Due to the vastness of his crimes across different jurisdictions, connecting the dots and identifying the perpetrator proved immensely challenging. In 2018, however, investigators used a technique called DNA familial matching. By comparing crime scene DNA to profiles in genealogy databases, they were able to generate a pool of relatives linked to the suspect. Through painstaking investigative work, they narrowed down the suspect to Joseph James D'Angelo, who was a former police officer. D'Angelo was arrested in 2018 and pleaded guilty in 2020 to avoid the death penalty. At number 5 is Elisa Lam. The unsolved murder of Elisa Lam in the Cecil Hotel in Los Angeles captivated the public's attention in 2013. Elisa, who was a Canadian tourist, was last seen alive behaving erratically in the hotel elevator, and surprisingly, weeks later, her body was found in a water tank on the roof. The bizarre circumstances followed by the release of unsettling elevator footage sparked a wave of online speculation and armchair detective work. The investigation initially focused on the possibility of Elisa entering the tank on her own, but the lack of any access point within the tank itself cast doubt on this theory. The public, however, remained intrigued by the unusual behavior captured in the elevator video, connecting it with the hotel's reputation as a hotspot for paranormal activity. The case remained unsolved for years, leaving it fueled by the internet sleuths and conspiracy theories. In 2019, however, a renewed examination of the evidence by the Los Angeles Police Department led to a different conclusion. They determined Elisa's death was an accidental drowning that was possibly brought on by a mental health episode. While this explanation did not sit well with some who were invested in this mystery, a review of the evidence pointed towards this tragic accident, including the malfunctioning elevator door that may have explained Elisa's odd behavior, was vital enough to determine its validity. Number 4. Lasse Peterson. In 2002, the brutal murder of Lasse Peterson in Modesto, California became a national media sensation. Lassie, a pregnant young woman, vanished from her home, leaving behind her distraught husband, Scott. The lives of this seemingly picture-perfect couple soon unraveled as police investigation revealed inconsistencies in Scott's alibi, coupled with a trail of suspicious behavior. Despite lacking a body, authorities pursued Scott Peterson as the prime suspect, while the public showed their outrage as media coverage painted a damning portrait of Scott. Months later, Lassie's remains and those of her unborn son washed ashore, solidifying the case against Scott. The trial that followed was a chaos. The prosecution meticulously presented circumstantial evidence, including Scott's internet searches for discarding bodies at sea, his extramarital affair, and inconsistencies in his alibi. The defense argued that Lassie might have been abducted by a stranger, but it wasn't strong enough to beat the case. In a verdict that resonated with the nation, Scott Peterson was found guilty of first-degree murder and was sentenced to death. Number 3. Emmett Till. In 1995, the murder of a 14-year-old African-American boy from Chicago named Emmett Till became one of the most notorious hate crimes in American history. While visiting his family in Mississippi, Emmett was brutally murdered by Roy Bryant and J.W. Millam after allegedly flirting with a white woman named Carolyn Bryant. Despite the horrific nature of the crime and the undeniable evidence against the perpetrators, an all-white jury acquitted Bryant and Millam. Emmett's mother insisted on an open casket funeral that would expose the world to the severity of her son's beating and galvanizing the civil rights movement. The case gained national attention, which became a potent symbol of racial injustice in the Jim Crow South. Although Emmett's killers walked free, their names were forever etched in infamy. Years later, Carolyn Bryant admitted that Emmett was only whistling at her, and he did not make any sexual advances. In 2004, the case was reopened, but there wasn't enough evidence to pursue charges against Bryant and Millam, who had both already died by then. At number 2, we have the Zodiac Killer. The Zodiac Killer terrorized the San Francisco Bay Area in the late 1960s, leaving a trail of fear and unsolved murders. Responsible for at least 5 confirmed murders, the Zodiac taunted authorities with cryptic messages, ciphers, and gruesome details about his crimes, baffling investigators for decades. The Zodiac Killer's taunts and media attention fueled a wave of public hysteria. Despite numerous leads and investigations, the Zodiac's identity remained a mystery. Though a shocking twist was revealed in 2001, when forensic advancements led investigators to re-examine cold case evidence, DNA testing linked a previously unidentified suspect to several of the Zodiac's crimes. The suspect is this guy, Arthur Leigh Allen, who had died in 1992. However, the DNA match offered a significant breakthrough. Further investigations revealed that Allen's physical characteristics and handwriting bore strong similarities to those attributed to the Zodiac Killer. Additionally, witnesses who knew Allen reported behaviors and mannerisms consistent with the Zodiac's descriptions. While a definitive confession or incriminating evidence wasn't found, the weight of circumstantial evidence, including DNA, handwriting analysis, and witness testimonies, strongly suggested that Arthur Leigh Allen was in fact the Zodiac Killer. And finally, at number 1 is Jack the Ripper. The Jack the Ripper murders cast a dark shadow over the Victorian-era London. Between 1888 and 1891, 5 women, all working prostitutes, were brutally murdered in the Whitechapel district. The gruesome nature of the killings, coupled with the killer's ability to evade capture, fueled public fear and media frenzy. Jack the Ripper taunted the police with letters signed with his alias, boasting of the murders and promising that there would be more. Despite extensive investigations and a massive manhunt, the Ripper's identity remained a chilling enigma. For over a century, the case has been the subject of endless speculation, with numerous theories and suspects emerging. In recent years, however, advancements in forensic science has offered a new perspective. In 2019, a a shawl believed to belong to one of the victims, Catherine Eddowes, was re-examined. Mitochondrial DNA testing pointed to a potential suspect, namely Aaron Kaminsky. He was a Polish barber known to be in Whitechapel at the time of the murders. While the evidence wasn't conclusive enough to definitely solve the case, it offered the strongest lead investigators had ever had. Historical research revealed details about Kaminsky's life that aligned with the Reaper's profile, including mental health struggles and possible violent tendencies. So there you have it. Out of all these 7 famous cold cases that have finally been solved, which one do you think was the most mind-blowing? And which one do you feel relieved the most knowing that it's solved? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to see more videos like this.